the NICU nurses, when you're in the NICU, like, become like family. They teach you so much. I really wanted to have a tribute to the doctors in the NICU, have a tribute to the nurses in the NICU, how much they do, have a tribute to how much the family support behind it all is so important, and just giving people the reassurance that it's okay that your baby came a little early, and it's okay that things didn't go according to plan. You're gonna make it through this.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Schaefer of Talks with Dr. Schaefer. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a physician, mom, life coach, musician, author, publisher, and I'm passionate about helping others reclaim their stories so they can build their most beautiful future. And I am so excited to have an inspiring guest today who is doing exactly that for her own family as well as other families going through the challenge of a NICU stay. Paige Pedroli is the author of Welcome to the NICU, which she wrote as a creative outlet after experiencing the roller coaster of emotion, having her newborn in the NICU. She's using her experiences to help other families cope with the challenges of having children in the NICU and use that time to connect with one another and bond with their baby. Paige, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It is such a beautiful book. And I love this idea when something really challenging happens to us, especially when it involves our kids, right? That's hurt me. Okay.
Yeah,
Put my
exactly.
kid in a challenging situation and I'm going to fight tooth and nail because that's your child. And you were in the situation as a mom, really put in the throes of that experience from the very beginning. Can you share with us kind of the end of your pregnancy and then as you started on, and I know this wasn't just once that this happened to you, how you as a family navigated the NICU and how it inspired you to create your book and really advocate for awareness of and support for families going through this?
Yeah, so my first pregnancy was with Penelope in 2018. Um, that morning, I was 37 and a half weeks pregnant, so I was getting towards the end. I wasn't like early and she wasn't premature, but that morning I had felt like she wasn't moving as much as she had been. I was a little concerned. Luckily, I hadn't gone to work that morning. Otherwise, I probably would have been busy at my desk doing things. I was at home, so I noticed it. And I called my doctor kind of thinking, I'd go in and they'd just reassure me that everything was okay. But I ended up going in, and after some testing, they sent me right away to the emergency room at the hospital. And when I got there, they had the surgery room all set up, and I went right in for an emergency C-section. So that was just like, everyone asked, like, how that felt or, like, what I was thinking. I kind of wasn't thinking anything because it just happened so fast. But it also was first baby, which also, um, later on after testing the placenta, we found out that I had had placenta abruption. So that's what was happening with the decrease in movement and decrease in oxygen. Um, But so also it was like I said, it was our first experience in the NICU, so kinda didn't know anything else, and when you're in those types of situations, I feel like you just do what you have to do. Like, you don't even think about what you're going through at the time, you're just kind of locked in and you're like, "This is what I have to do," and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you just keep going. So she was in the NICU for 10 days, which she had a lot of testing done, um, a lot of, like, MRIs, neurologists, hematologists, cardiologists, like, she saw everybody. Hers was a little bit more in depth. We ended up following up with all of doctors for about 2 years after as well, and then at 2 years old, she was diagnosed with autism, but it was really great that we had the NICU's help all along, and we caught her diagnosis early on, and she was able to start therapy from the day she was born, which I think has been the key to her success today, and she's doing great.
Oh,
So then that's when I came up with the idea of the book. my sister actually, like, had mentioned it. She was like, "That'd be such a cute book, and you could call it Nick Zoo," and we kind of, like, ran with that idea. I think I had, like, jotted down a couple of lines, and I knew I wanted to make it kid-friendly, colorful, like, easy to understand. But then I guess it was just an idea at that point, and I obviously got caught up with being a first-time mom and kind of moved on. Then 4 years later, I was pregnant with Sydney, and I was 34 weeks pregnant, and just in the middle of the night, my water just broke on its own. Um, I just woke up and I was like, "Kenny, my water broke," and he just, like, looked at me. We knew it was, like, too early, so we were like, "Oh, like, we're probably heading to the NICU again," but we just, like, took it easy. When we got to the hospital, they did testing. They said the baby looked fine, perfectly healthy, so I actually wasn't, like, rushed in to have a C-section or anything. I actually waited for a couple of hours. They were monitoring baby, so that put me at ease as well. And then once she was born, she was ultimately healthy. She was just too small to feed on her own, and she needed a feeding tube, so it was really just waiting for her to get bigger and stronger, but other than that, there was no really health concerns. That was also after COVID, which Penelope was before COVID, so the experiences were a little different. So with Sydney, nobody was able to come visit besides me and my husband were the only ones that were allowed in the room. That kinda just, like, gave us, like, just, like, a time to just, like, relax. She was in for 2 weeks, so we had 2 weeks with her, like, all to ourselves. The NICU nurses, when you're in the NICU, like, become like family. They teach you so much. Like, they taught us, how to give the first bath, how to change diapers. They tell you different just, like, techniques and strategy, how to birth a baby or how to tell what the different cries mean, like, they're hungry, they're gassy. So it's kinda just like parenting, like, 101. You get this, like, crash course, and I'm thankful for that part of it because thinking back now, I'm like, how do parents go to the hospital and, like, leave 2 days later and they just have this newborn and they're like, "What do I do?" I actually, like, learned a lot. Yeah, I guess I just took advantage of the experience to learn as much as I could from the nurses, and they were a huge help. We still keep in touch with a lot of them. Um,
Hmm.
and Sydney's 3 years old now, and she's thriving as well and doing great. And, yeah, you would have no idea that she was born premature. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really appreciate how when you present it as a NICU zoo, as
Yeah.
the Nick Zoo, you know, there are so many parallels, so many thoughts that come up with that concept because as someone who has been on the other side of a NICU, I'm not a pediatrician, but that being said, when I went through my residency in neurology, my adult residency, we spent a lot of time in the NICU and in the pediatric ICU and on the floors of pediatric hospitals learning about those conditions and supporting the care team. And I can see how it could feel almost like you're stuck in a zoo some
Yeah.
moments as a
Yeah.
family, and especially when the baby is in this incubator, kind of feeling a feeling of disconnection from your baby. And what a beautiful opportunity through sharing your experience and creating a story, which story is, I think, the oldest way that we learned how to connect with one another, not only face to face, but across the generations. Stories are our way of connecting and bonding. Sharing this story that's ready made, prepackaged to go in that environment and bring some color to it and some connection is such a beautiful way to start that conversation, start reading the book, especially for parents, like you said. Not only are you potentially a first time parent, but things are going not the way you expected them to go.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
the book ended up being a very therapeutic and healing way for me as well, because I just thought of all the points that I wanted to make. Um, I really wanted to have a tribute to the doctors in the NICU, have a tribute to the nurses in the NICU, how much they do, have a tribute to how much the family support behind it all is so important. And just giving people the reassurance that it's okay that your baby came a little early and it's okay that things didn't go according to plan, but like you're gonna make it through this. I also, since writing the book, connected with a lot of families, obviously, and heard their stories. And just the NICU community is just so powerful and so supportive of each other. Um, I never even heard of placenta abruption before I had it, and I've heard so many people that have had it. So it just like hearing other people's story and knowing that they went through the same thing just like gives so much comfort to everyone to talk about.
It is such an invitation to share stories that I think also as mothers, especially first time mothers, even third, fourth, fifth time you have a baby, we're so excited and focused on our child and their journey that we often don't feel safe to share the experiences that we have as mothers, the grief that we feel,
Yeah. I,
the pain that we feel.
It's definitely it's not like in the movies where, you have this childbirth and the baby's always like, put on your chest and such like this happy moment, like, and then everything's okay. It's so funny how many people I talk to. I think I rarely know people that their birth plan ever went according to plan. There's always some kind of complication. Uh, and so many people who I didn't realize, like, had a baby in the NICU, had a grandchild in the NICU, a friend who had somebody in the NICU, like, somebody knows somebody who had a baby in the NICU. So, it's a lot more common than, a lot of people realize, and it's just that yeah, so fun to meet so many people and hear so many different stories and experiences.
And in the United States, some of us live in larger cities that have a NICU. They have a neonatal intensive care unit. Many people live in more rural locations. And not only is the what to expect when you're expecting the unexpected happening, because that's the reality, the unexpected happens and these challenges happen. Not only are they dealing with their baby needing this care, and they're also sleep deprived and worried and all those things, and maybe they have another child that needs childcare and they're dealing with all of that, but often people are also dealing with being displaced, and maybe their partner is missing work. There are so many other things that are happening all at once. As you have become, not only had your experiences, but become so supportive and integrated into the community of people who have gone through the experience of having a child in the NICU, what are some things that you felt you needed that maybe you didn't receive? And what are ways that community family hospitals can support families so that it makes it even just a tiny bit easier to get through?
Um, Not that, uh, the NICU that I went to didn't have, like, a set reading program. They did encourage you to read books and things like that, but I have heard of other NICUs that have a library or they give out books, and I just think that's really cool to have, and that's also what I hope for my book to inspire reading programs at NICUs, like, across the US, and really, like, learn and understand the importance of reading to a baby in the NICU, that for brain development, it helps with bonding for both the baby and the parent. It helps with stress relief, and it really empowers the parents to feel like they're being a part of their baby's care.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I love that program. And you have some really interesting ways that you're doing that. I saw on social media you were advertising, and I thought this was such a neat thing to do, that you could buy a certain amount of books and the price got better and better the more you bought, and you're buying them actually to donate them.
Yes. I do offer, like, discounted prices for bulk orders, specifically for hospitals, for that reason, so they can give the book to NICU families. The biggest hospital that I work with right now is Henry Ford, Medical. They they buy a book and they give a book to every NICU family once they've hit 2 weeks in the NICU. So, because the book's great to read while you're in the NICU, that's specifically why I wanted to make it a board book. It's easier to hold, especially when you have a newborn, especially that small. But it's also great for families to take home if they have a sibling, usually around the age 0 to 5. It's a great book to explain to them what's going on. I experienced that obviously when I had Sydney, then I still had Penelope at home. And that makes it more difficult for the parents going back and forth, and you're kind of dividing your time and you're feeling like, am I giving enough attention to the toddler at home? Am I giving enough attention in the NICU? So having the book as well to bring home to a sibling also is another great benefit of the book.
That's so lovely, and I love that purpose behind the project and the passion behind it of helping families and really creating something that maybe wasn't there for yourself or for other people that you have spoken to. Are there other things beyond making sure that we ensure that quality bonding time in a setting that can feel kind of sterile, right? Because it's a hospital setting and we're keeping babies safe. Are there other ways that the people in your life can support you? Because a lot of people who are listening, they may not go through this experience themselves, but they may be a grandma or grandpa and be experiencing this in their family. And just like it was unexpected for the family that they went through this, they may not know or feel confident in how they can show up. So what are some experiences that you've learned yourself and people that you have worked with through the book that can give us some insights into how we can show up?
I guess just be like an open ear, somebody to talk to. It's just if they need support, if they need um, just like space to, like, yeah, just feel comfortable, give a hug. With Penelope, like I said, she was before COVID, so all of our family was able to come visit. So that way was a support. We always wanted to have at least one family member in the hospital. So when everyone was allowed to come, it was a lot easier that my parents could stay, Kenny's parents could stay, give us a break. So if your NICU allows that, like maybe doing that is a way of supporting. Then with Sydney, um, like I said, only me and my husband were allowed to go in the NICU, but everyone was supportive in the sense of taking care of Penelope at home. So I always felt like she was being taken care of and everybody took turns helping us with that. So also that way. Um, I mean, always my mom was always cooking us, like, home cooked meals when we got home, like, things like that, like, making sure the house was tidy, just making life try to feel as normal as possible, if it is possible, and yeah, and just being open to just listening and just being supportive and hearing, what the NICU parents, like, wanna share and what's on their mind.
Yeah, I always think about, this discussion that young moms often have right after they have a baby or when they're reflecting on what that was like, whether they had a child that was in the hospital or they came home, is once you recognize how much work it is, not just work taking care of your baby and meeting their needs, but your body is going through so much as well after you have had a baby.
Yeah,
It
it takes
it
a village.
can
Really I
it
really
takes
learned
a
what that
village. Yeah.
and both of my C-sections, um, yeah, it took a lot to, like, recover, like, I wasn't able to just hop up and do everything right away. I really had to, take it easy and take it slow. Um, and also, so I had a separate room that I was recovering from where the NICU was. I had that for the first 3 days, but it's just tough, like, yeah, just like for yourself, you should be resting and taking it easy, but you're like, I have to get to the NICU. So I like forced myself, you know, to get moving as soon as I could. And yeah, you do whatever you have to do, be there for your baby.
Yeah, and I think when you're someone who wants to show support when you have a family member or loved one who is facing that new challenge and trying to balance all that while healing themselves, something that I hear often that I agree, I remember having this experience, having young babies, is if someone would ask how they could help, sometimes that didn't land quite right because it almost felt like You're already so exhausted. You're doing everything. You're making all the decisions now, just not just for you, but now for this new human being. And someone's basically giving you homework. And that doesn't always feel like help. And it feels actually like an added burden. Whereas if you want to support someone, maybe find a different way. Like just, yeah, the laundry needs to be folded. Go fold the laundry. Bring the food in.
Yeah, so because sometimes, like you said, like, I think people don't know what to say, and then sometimes they just talk about what they know and they talk about their experiences, but sometimes when you're in the NICU and it's just so different than anybody else's experience, sometimes it's better to just listen. Like, sometimes it's better to not say anything and listen or let the other person talk and let them just kind of work through their own emotions by just saying it out loud or saying their thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great thing about a book is it's an invitation to share an experience, but without getting it's interesting how you don't get too lost in someone else's story. It really kind of allows you to explore your own emotions
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that shared experience.
the book's very, like, just kinda, like, general, so you really can relate to anybody in the NICU, like a premature baby or a baby who, like Penelope, like, just had other complications, She wasn't premature, but she was having difficult breathing, so, yeah, it really can relate to anybody in the NICU. It's not, like, specific to our experience. It's just, like, a general overview of different things people could feel in the NICU and go through.
I love it. Now, how has your experience with the book coming out and getting into the hands of readers, of groups that support NICU families and the children and hospitals, what has that been like? What has the response been and the life that the book has taken on of its own?
Yeah, so I started Instagram kind of just like promoting the book along the way, which was a huge help having that following before the book even came out. When the book first came out, I sent it out obviously as like donations to a lot of hospitals and NICUs just to get it out there, get it recognized. But right away, the feedback was just like overwhelming. Um, it was better than anything I could have imagined. How much like positive feedback it was getting, how much it was helping everybody. So from there, it just kind of like took over, and yeah, it's just been doing great. Like I said, social media is my probably best marketing strategy to share with everybody. So that's been a big help.
And you have some fun events coming up where you're going to be working to continue to spread the word about welcome to the NIC Zoo and trying to create this supportive network for families in December. Can you tell us more about
Yeah.
that?
We had a NICU book drive in September for NICU Awareness Month, and it was just so successful. I hosted it at my friend's bookstore, and we had activities for the kids, snacks for the kids, and it was a fun day. So, and we ended up raising 30 books to be donated back to Stony Brook NICU. When I donated the books back to Stony Brook, and that's where Penelope and Sydney were born. So giving it back to the NICU that they were at was just a full circle moment, and that was probably my favorite experience of the book so far. So that was cool that we got to do that, and then I connected with the NICU director at Stony Brook. She loved the book and was asking if we're gonna do another book drive. So now we have one set up for December for, like, the holiday season. We're gonna do that in the beginning of December and then deliver the books, around Christmas.
What a wonderful connecting present. I really love that. And as you see this movement growing, how are ways that communities, families, and hospitals can support the book so that it can become that safety net for families? Just that bonding experience, and I think also that message that it's gonna be okay. It brings in a sense of normality because when you many people before they have their babies, they are creating not just a nursery, but a library of the books that they love from their childhood. And again, those expectations that it's going to be just like it was with me. And then this happens. I think that This book is a great way to say, and this is also a normal part of many people's experience. Like this is what happens. And welcome. You're a part of this now.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you don't expect to go to the NICU, but once you're in the NICU community, you learn that it's okay, and people have been through this, uh, and you're gonna be okay.
Well, I so appreciate all the work that you are doing, creating this way to bond with your baby despite things going not the way you expected. How can people connect with you, learn more about the book, order it for their hospital, and just follow along to watch this initiative grow?
So we have the book available on our website. On our website, you can also there's a share your story option. So you can share pictures, share any advice that you would give to other NICU parents, and then I take that and I post it on our social media, which is a great way to just yeah, just share people's story and other people to read about your story and hear about that. You can also buy the book on Amazon. It's just available yesterday. And then for hospitals, reach out to me through social media or my email, and I can give you special pricing for bulk order.
That's wonderful. And if the unexpected happens and you're looking for a way for families to feel this experience normalized, because as you've said, this happens to so many people, even though we didn't hope for it, we didn't expect it. Gifting the book if you're a family member, and then also make sure you're stocking the freezer and doing all those helpful things so that when they come home, they're ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely. Because, yeah, when you're in the NICU, you're obviously not thinking about, like, maybe I should buy this book. So it's great for family members if you know anybody that's going through this right now, or even if they've gone through it in the past. It's a great keepsake to have to remember. I still read it to my girls to teach them about what they went through because 'cause they're not gonna remember it. So, um, yeah, it teaches them about the NICU and just how strong they were and what they needed to.
They're so strong. Isn't it incredible the resilience of these little babies that came out to the world and they had all these challenges and they overcame, and the beauty of the community that just took these vulnerable babies and nurtured them, and also, as you alluded to, nurtured their parents to
Yeah,
help them while they're overwhelmed and overstimulated with everything that's going on, teach them those amazing, amazing skills like, okay, that cry means gas, that cry means diaper.
yeah,
Those are invaluable.
yeah, there's definitely things that I thought, like, were just, like, motherly instinct. I'm like, "When is my motherly instinct gonna kicked in?" It's like, no, it's just, like, from experience, and then the second time around with the next child, you're like, "Okay, I got this, like, I've done this before." The first one, you're like, "What am I doing?"
Mm. But then the second one can throw you a curveball too, and that's okay.
Yeah, they're
That's
all different,
so okay.
all
They're all
different.
different.
Like,
Absolutely.
some things that I the ways that I, put Penelope to bed or, um, would, like like, encourage them differently, you know? They had different things motivated them to get them to do things. Yeah. So they're definitely both very different kids. They learn very differently. Uh, so my strategies, yeah, they're always keeping me on my toes, like changing what works for them.
I love it, and that flexibility, rigidity, I think, is one of the things that, and that's when it comes down to it, the expectations we have about parenthood. Often life just throws that out the window immediately, right? Like, your expectations have nothing to do with reality. And the less rigid you can be and less married to those expectations, and the more flexible and be open to the lessons and to just riding the waves, like you said, the roller coaster of what
Exactly.
it means to be dealing with these challenges, whether it's in the NICU or other life challenges that our children and our families are going to go through. The more flexible you can be and taking those lessons and learn from them, the better. And I so appreciate you sharing what your family has gone through and learned from it, and also supporting NICU families and communities across the country. I'm just so grateful for everything that you're doing and for you coming on the show and sharing it with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Paige, for being on the show and sharing your story with us. And thank you so much to our storytellers. Do you have an experience being a NICU family that you want to share? You can go to Paige's website and do so. She's collecting those stories. And I think it's so beautiful. You can share it on Talks with Dr. Schaefer, send us a reel on Instagram. Put a comment below about something that helped you and your family get through that time. Maybe something really supportive that a family member did. We'd love to hear your stories and learn from each other as a community. That's the best thing we can do when challenges arise is learn how to connect with one another and how to show up better for one another when the next challenge comes, because we all know there's going to be a new challenge. That's just life. But the way that we connect with one another and support each other through those challenges is where the magic happens. Until next time, stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Everybody's lonely, but you can hold on to me, and I will try to make it right. Everyone needs